Relationship red flag, negative attitude towards rest or play. Okay, what does this look like? This is being in the relationship with someone who, when you slow down and like not in a state of exhaustion. So this will frequently manifest as you're with your partner and the partner is go, 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 go. We got to do this. We got to do that. Got to take care of this thing. Da, 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 da. Push, 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 push. And then they basically push themselves to the point of exhaustion. And then they come home. They're just like, wah, and they like crash. And they'll veg in front of the TV. In the situations I've seen this, it's got a really high incident of like, that's when alcohol will show up, beer or wine or whatever. I don't know if that one's super consistent, but it's definitely been in my experience with this. So basically they go, 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 go until they crash. And then they really crash. And they're just like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. And then they wake up in the morning and they're just like on it. Boom, 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 boom. Go, 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 go. Okay. And then if you take that person and you say, we're just going to sit here and we're going to chill for a minute, watch what they do. And then the bad ones, the ones that are afflicted with this, not bad, just afflicted with this very strongly, you'll see them like whip out their phone and they're like, oh, I need to catch up on my news reading, or I need to log my hours. It's like, yeah. If you see someone who's got an app on their phone that tracks their time and they're just like, I'm beginning a stage of rest right now, boop. And like that is, unless you are super, super aligned with that, basically if you are afflicted with the same thing, then you've got alignment, great. But for anyone who is not aligned with that mentality, you're going to have conflict. That's why this is a red flag. So if you suggest to this person, we're just going to sit here and we're going to do nothing, and they lose their shit. They're just like, they get antsy. They're looking around. They're just like, what do I do? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now. Red flag. Take them out. If you want to test, take them out into nature. Find some place where there's a big rock sitting in the middle of a stream, and then like wade out to the rock and just go sit on the rock, and like take them on an adventure. And then you get to the rock and you just sit. And they're like, what do we do now? And just wait. Like, nothing. We just enjoy. Now the person says, oh, cool. Okay. And they look around, they play in the water, and they're actually beginning to enjoy just a day of doing nothing or a few moments of doing nothing. Green flags. But the person that's just like, they get antsy, they start trying to find something to do, they start stacking rocks, like they take on a task. Red flag. Okay, why is this? Because this is a red flag, because that behavior pattern is driven by deeply held subconscious beliefs about worthiness, about getting approval, about seeing as enough, insecurities. And it is a drive that comes from many, many lessons that they learned in their childhood, usually coming from the primary attachment figures and caregivers, that was pushing them constantly for performance. You need to perform this way. You need to do this thing. You need to do that thing. If you don't do this, then you'll never make enough money, or you'll be a failure, or you'll never get a good husband, or whatever, right? There's a whole list of them. I was just talking to somebody last night about how this is really prevalent in Southeast Asia, usually coming from the mother. That checks out with the people that I know, but I don't know if it's universal or not. Anyway, the reasons the red flag is not because of that behavior itself, because that this extremely high productivity, extremely high accomplishments, they usually have awards and accolades and special achievements and maybe a trophy case and a long list of accomplishments that they've done in their life. That's really cool. They're definitely driven and they're ambitious. That's great. But this deep-seated insecurity and terror, I mean, it's not just a fear, it is a terror that they have that lives inside them about doing and accomplishing and the next thing that I must accomplish. One time I was speaking to one of these people and they said something like, you don't understand, if I slow down like that, I'm then just trapped in my own head. If I'm not doing something, then I just have to sit here with my own thoughts. And that's Terrifying. Red flag. And that's exactly it. They are running this whole accomplishment, performance, lifestyle is all done. It's as a reaction to fear. They are running from something. They're running from something incredibly uncomfortable for them, which is the belief I'm not good enough. It's shame. So many of these things come back to shame. They have a deep-seated shame inside them that says, I'm not good enough. I'll never be enough. I'll never get them to approve of me. Or this is the only way I can get them to approve of me. This is the only way I'm going to get love and admiration and approval and validation and sexual options and whatever. This behavior of discomfort around rest is super indicative of this fear-based drive that they're running from their shame. So why is this a red flag? It's like, oh, Kirby, why can't we just be present with them and help them through their trauma? And it's like, you can, but it's a heavy lift. And honestly, it's better left for a therapist. It's not really your job. So how does that show up negatively in the relationship? It shows up, in the early stages when we're getting along and we're in the honeymoon phase or the early dating phase and we're kind of figuring things out. And we're just like, oh yeah, I like this about you. And then you're going along for this ride and you go to their office or whatever and you see all these accomplishments and you're just like, wow, I'm with someone amazing. I'm guilty. I've done that. I've been on both sides of that one actually. And like, oh my God, this person's amazing. And then I begin imagining this like future we have together. And it's like, oh, they've got money and they've got accomplishments and they've got all this stuff. And they've got this like tremendous drive inside. And like, how amazing is that going to be? But then we have the times where it's just like, they're sick and can't function. Like literally their body is shutting down, usually because they've pushed it so hard. And so now their body's shutting down and they're physically unable to act. And now they're stuck there with their thoughts. And it's like it takes moments of sickness or flu and it amplifies it times 10. It's like 10 times worse, 10 times more trauma, 10 times more whatever. And they're the kind of person that will be like, just give me the drug, whatever, that will allow me to get out of this bed and go back to work because I can't stand being here. Are you seeing how difficult this is going to be? Because now if I'm in relationship with this partner, they've got this hyper-critical view about productivity and activities and action and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not kidding, 100% of the people I've known that have this affliction, they have been super critical of their partner and they just don't talk about it until much later. If you know someone like this and you're not in a romantic relationship with them, go sit with them and ask them, what are your real thoughts about your partner and their productivity level? And get ready, because there's going to be a lot of criticism that comes, most likely. So they're going to be super critical of you inside if you don't perform to their standards, which means you're in a constant state of being judged, being evaluated, being watched, and being judged. Hint, that's not healthy. That's not a good place for the development of a romantic relationship. And it's definitely not a good place for raising children. Okay, so you've got this constant criticism, unspoken. Eventually, your subconscious begins to pick up on that. And it's just like, wow, like I just feel uncomfortable here. I kind of feel like this person, she's amazing. She's great. He's great, whatever. But yet I just feel like I'm never good enough. Ooh, look at that. My own attachment wound now comes to the surface because I've chosen someone who's probably just like mom or dad. Not always, but often. So now I'm, this is months or years down the road, and now I'm bonded to this person. We're all invested and enmeshed in our lives and everything. And I just kind of have this constant lingering self-doubt and low self-confidence or whatever, that I'm just not good enough. And like maybe nothing I do will ever be good enough for this person. Or the opposite, which is like, oh, I get it. It's like, oh, if I go reshape my body and change my diet and, take on this task and I go kill it at that thing or whatever. And then it's like, oh, now we're getting along. Now we're jiving. and she approves of me, and like, okay, now we've got a happy relationship, but then I get sick and I can't perform. And then the criticism shows back up because the underlying root was never dealt with. This is all being driven because we're running, we're afraid of the shame of not being good enough or not performing or whatever. We're still trying to get mom and dad's approval. Or in this case, trying to get partner's approval, which is really just a proxy for mom and dad anyway. So the whole thing has been driven by this fear and dynamic and this utter craving, compulsion to go succeed and achieve and whatever. And anything that's rest or play gets completely disregarded as useless. And then we're like, no, this can't be true. Like, I love play. Like I play tennis and I'm a high-ranked tennis player, or basketball, or paddle is really popular right now. It's just like, no, I play paddle every week. It's like, really? Do you play without a score? No. Never. Not once have I said, heard, or talked to anyone that plays paddle or tennis that does not keep score. They're like, oh, well, it's just a friendly game. No, it's an accomplishment. You are competing, achieving, working, taking your stuff that you know, applying it diligently, la, la, la. That's all great. Competition is fine. I'm not saying competition is not good. I'm saying that you can't rest. You can't slow down and just be with the wind or the ball or the racket or whatever and just smash things around and be like, oh, look what happens when this happens. Look what happens. It's like, no, they're constantly training. Do you see the degree of stress that this person has inside their life? That stress will transmit to you, and it will transmit to this relationship. And you will eventually be in the state where you feel consistently criticized by the other person because you're not performing up to their standards. And it's not a fun place to be. And okay, some of us, not me, but others, some people can get by with that because they basically have the same affliction. They're like, no, I need to perform, I need to do, I need to hustle, I need to achieve, I need to win, I need to compete. Okay. And so you two are going to get along. You're going to be like in alignment. That's great. Until you have a child. And guess what? That child does not need to be taught how to compete. What that child needs is they need you to sit with them idly, without a purpose, without a task, without a accomplishment, without a competition, without learning, to just be with me and show me viscerally in the complete totality of our existence and our time together that I matter. And the moment that the overachiever shows up to that child and says like, oh, you just need to do this thing and it'll be so much better. You're teaching that child there's a success and a failure. And if you fail, you're bad. You're teaching that child an attachment wound. You're teaching that child how to feel bad about themselves because they didn't perform up to the level that you wanted them to. And now that I understand this, I think back on my experience in life, and other families have been around, and the children and all that kind of stuff, and the degree of celebration and delight that happens when the child accomplishes a win. They put the square peg in the square hole. Something as simple as that. Yay! Oh my God, you're amazing. We're so proud of you. Oh, we love you so much. Oh, let's all celebrate. And the kids all just like, because limbic resonance and all this other stuff is happening. And so their nervous system is basically activating up towards euphoria because everyone around them is. And it's just like, and so we're literally training them that this is the happy place. Achievement, success, goals, whatever. And the thing that is not that, which is sitting there being confused why the square peg doesn't go in the circular hole, and puzzling that out, or just giving up on it or whatever, right? Just being. Okay, so we're not even trying to do a task. We're just like playing playing in the sense of like moving cars around or rolling bowls back and forth or whatever, right? That teaches the child that that's not acceptable, that that's not important. I have some friends that are recently new parents. And at one point, one of them said to me that sitting with my child and just rolling a ball back and forth, it's like I push it that way and she pushes it back. I push it that way and she pushes it back. And she'll do that for hours. And it's mind numbing. And it's obviously what she needs or what she wants. And I want to be there with her. But like, oh my God, my brain is melting and I can't stand it. What's going on inside that brain? What's going inside that brain of that adult? It's like, oh, I got this to do. I've got that to do. I've got to accomplish these things. And I got to blah, 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 blah. Right? Just sitting still is super uncomfortable. So that's why this is a red flag. The overachiever, hyper performance, fear-driven drive for accomplishment at all costs will eventually toxify your relationship. Is that one a guarantee? I don't know if that one's a guarantee. I'm not going to say that's a guarantee because you might actually be more in alignment than you realize. But I'm going to say that in the times that I've seen it, it has not gone well. And the times that I've seen that be present when a child enters the mix, I feel sadness about that. And I grew up in that type of environment. I grew up in the environment where it was about accomplishment. It was about earning validation through winning, through overcoming, or it's not even overcoming, it's just winning. There's a lot of really awesome people on the internet now. I see them and they just say, do not praise your child for accomplishment, for winning. Praise your child for the struggle. Praise your child for having the courage to even begin. Oh my God, that's so amazing. I'm so proud of you for even starting this process. You win, didn't win, doesn't matter. Other people would care about that, but like, they don't get it yet. I'm just so impressed and delighted and amazed that you just chose to take on this challenge and then faced the difficulties every step of the way. That's the amazing bit. Who cares how it turns out? That kind of praise teaches that nervous system that the effort is where the glory is, that the trying is where the victory is, and the finish line is immaterial. So that's the kind of thing we want to do when we're raising children in this world. That's how we change the world, really. That's how we change the next generation, and that's how we change the world, is we create a whole generation of children that are not driven by success or accomplishments or victory or winning or competition. They're driven by the effort. They're driven by the try. And that becomes a beautiful thing. And so if you're in a relationship where someone is overachieving, hypercritical, drive, you need to ask yourself, how much does this align with me? And if you're just like, yes, I love it. And those times that he turns that criticism towards me, it's like, they pass. I can get on with this. Good. Great. You have found a way to be compatible. But I would strongly suggest that you dig into this more and become really acutely aware of what kind of impact that has on the developing brain of a baby. And then you just work with your partner to set some intentions and boundaries around that and be like, you can have all the drive in the world, and I appreciate that about you, and I think you're amazing, and I'm talking to a partner. And it's just like, these are all great things, but look at all this evidence we have that transferring that into a baby is not going to go well for any of us. So what can we do? What do we do about that? And then just ask partner and begin a very difficult, vulnerable discussion about like, how are you going to process that moving forward? How do you create a child that has no care about the finish line? And if your partner says that's unacceptable, like I can't even and this happens. I know people that would say exactly this. No way. I can't even imagine what you're talking about. Like, life is about struggle. Life is about winning. Like if we just let that child sit there and just be, like, what's going to happen? They're going to starve to death. They're going to not get the approval of their friends. They're not going to have friends. They're not going to get a job, right? Whatever. All this worry. And that's the parents' unresolved attachment wounds now manifesting, and they're projecting on the child. And that situation is super toxic for the development of a healthy attachment system in that child. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. That person will create attachment wounds in that child, guaranteed. There's no way they won't. So get really clear about that. And then ask yourself, do you want children? If yes, do you want children with this person? Why? Get really clear on that. And I feel for you. This is a hard situation. And if you really want to get brutal, I'm known for that sometimes, is staying with this person more important than the emotional well-being of my child for the rest of their life? Me making this choice today has an extremely high likelihood that my child will have an insecure attachment system that will plague them with loneliness and insecurity until they intentionally come see somebody like me to begin rewiring those negative beliefs they have inside. That's a difficult question. I hope this was helpful. If you got more questions, message me, post it on the comments, whatever. Reach out. I'm happy to talk to people about this. I'm happy to guide. Like, this is very serious stuff. And I hope that this has been helpful and challenging so that you can figure out the path that you want to walk in life. I wish you the best. I believe in you all. Peace.